Hello everyone, my name is Sujith Koshy Varghese. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today at the 100 Voices of the Future because this is something I'm passionate about is giving hope and inspiration to the people. As a person of determination myself, I have seen the things that it takes to overcome adversity and change your adversities into your biggest power and strength. So it's an honor to be here at 100 Voices of the Future.
Sujith is here in our humble home, in my humble place, and I am honored. I really am, genuinely. He made all the effort to come and join us. And he is a man who gives us all hope. Literally by walking in, he has an aura. He has energy. He has a command as he literally walks into the room. And I say walk in on his wheelchair, but nobody can even see it, because of who he is, because he's larger than life. And that's when I first met him and I first saw him. That is what I saw. He is one of the voices of the future that we would like to really project out there, because people of determination need to have a voice, need to have a positioning, need to have an amplification of the kind of things that they are going through in life. The other thing we'll talk about as we look into the future and as we look into the science and the technology that's coming in, that how that science and technology can help him in the future in different kinds of ways. So today he's here, we're going to talk about his life and how he is going to inspire us to get into the future. So Sujith, real pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's actually more than a pleasure. I'm actually feeling touched and humble, and I feel really personally connected, and thank you. Sometimes there is a heart connection, and I honestly,
a vibe that connects.
A vibe that connects.
I get you completely.
And I tend to feel that. Sujith, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your young life. Tell us about little Sujith. Was he naughty? Was he completely nuts? Was he crazy like I was?
Let's start with little Sujith. Was born and raised here in the UAE.
Okay.
And I feel blessed to be in this country, which we'll go on why I am.
Yeah.
But so yes, I did most of my education here. But I'll tell you some facts that you just asked me if I was naughty, right?
Yeah.
So let's just start with saying that I was asked to leave my school and kicked out at my 9th grade. I did here my schooling till my 9th grade over here. Then getting a little too naughty, my parents decided that let me send him to India. And that's when they transferred me first time back into my homeland, motherland, where I was from in Kerala. And I'm in a place called Mavelikara from Kerala. So I did 3 years of my education in Kerala school. That was basically my 10th, 11th and 12th. After that, I moved to Bangalore. Bangalore Bachelor's in Commerce. So the whole idea of Bangalore was because, usually back in those days in India, Bangalore was the most happening spot. Then obviously there was Pune as well, right? So these two was the most fast places. And I was always a very fast guy. I would get bored with things easily. For me, it was always adrenaline rush. So Bangalore was another ball game altogether. I mean, from transitioning from Dubai always say this to people, I feel you're in a box. Even the education system over here, what I was like, how I saw things growing up probably at that age, I feel, you're just seeing a box, you're not seeing beyond that. Kerala showed me that. Kerala made me more independent. I was washing my own clothes for the first time. As a 9, 10 standard boy, that changes a lot, even though it's such a simple task. It develops something in you as an independent fellow, So yeah, staying in hostels, staying with boys, fighting for your respect. I mean, all this is a part of that growing up stage, made me a different molded me a little stronger. And Bangalore became a place where it was just fun and activities and adrenaline and boxing and a lot more,
So as you grew older, did you come back here?
So in Bangalore, my final year of college, I had a bike accident.
Okay.
And I spent about my 3 years of my life after that in Kerala in hospitals. And in 2015 is when I came back to Dubai.
So when did you actually have your first accident?
The big one was in 2013.
Okay.
March 31st. And I have no recollection of it till date. But what happened was I lost control of my bike and my crash guard hit a truck. And that's how I lost balance. So this is a story that was told to me. I spent 4 days unconscious on a ventilator and I was on artificial support. So when I woke up, my first memory was my parents next to my ICU bed and my family asking me, can you see us? Do you recognize us? I was in pure confusion, So a lot of people ask me, didn't you think what was happening to you? But no, like you're in a, I was on high doses of morphine
Yes.
because I had a 12-hour surgery and I couldn't allow anyone to even touch me for 2 weeks or maybe a month straight because, after your body is opened up that much, the healing process is very slow. It takes some time. So after 2 weeks is when the doctor said he would survive. I was moved to a ward. I spent the next 3 months in a rehabilitation center just learning the very basics on even how to sit to a chair, how to take a shower, how to sleep on a bed, how to eat food, how to pick things from the ground.
How old were you then?
I was 21 then.
Okay.
I was 21 then, yeah. So at 21, I was taught like a toddler how to do things.
And it's amazing because you're at the peak, at your absolute prime at that time.
Adrenaline was off the roof.
Absolutely. The energy must be crazy at the time.
Tariq, you asked me what I was adrenaline junkie because I used to love racing bikes. I used to box in college. I was in an academy, so I felt I was untouchable, like nobody could mess. Like, that physical aspect of things. And I felt I was killing it. Like I was if you ask me, I was at the peak of my life. I felt I was untouchable.
Yeah.
Physically, I was loving Bangalore. I was loving the parties. I was loving the adrenaline. It couldn't be better. And next thing I know, I've come back to a level below zero, and I'm learning how to pick things from the ground and how to even sleep on a bed. So it was a big shock.
Yeah. Fast forward a few more years, while obviously you got yourself trained back into the state that you like to live a normalish life, normal for you. And then you had a second incident.
The second incident only happened immediately after my accident is because after I came out of the hospitals, I took a Ayurvedic treatment which completely backfired. Due to which, for the next 3 years, I spent in the hospital undergoing 16 plus surgeries. So that was like that. Those hits came one after the other.
Right.
But thankfully it finished at that phase and it didn't continue. Right. Yeah, the surgeries continued later, but
yeah. So my guru, yoga guru, his name is Sanjeev. He's also from Kerala. He is, in my opinion, the greatest healer that I know of. And he does amazing things for people just by simple breath and simple activities. And please allow me to invite you one day and take you to Guru Sanjeev. If nothing else, he'll be a great friend. If nothing else, he would be a great guide to you, whether it's nutrition, yoga, breathing, rehabilitation,
Sanjeev yoga?
growth. Yeah. So how did your career develop? I mean, that's like 10 years ago. Yeah. What have you done in the last 10 years?
The last 10 years, I have just seen and been a being that I've never been before. If that makes sense. Like what I have realized after this incident that happened to me back in 2013, I wish I learnt it without having this accident, but I would have never learnt it if this accident didn't happen to me. So I always say it's a blessing and a curse for it. Like, do I completely not want it to happen to me? This might sound bizarre, but believe me, what I've seen because of this happen to me has made me another person altogether. Way better than what I could have ever been if I was going in the earlier path.
I can totally understand that. I can actually relate to that, and I'll share a couple of stories. Do you know somebody called Nick Vujicic?
Yes.
I interviewed Nick also, and one of the questions I asked him is, if you were going to be born again, would you like to be born the way you are right now? And he said, absolutely. And the entire audience, about 2,000 people, were in shock. Because he said, in his environment that he is in today, he has love, he has the ability to change the world, he has the ability to impact, he has the ability to give people hope. It doesn't matter whether he's small or large, whatever, that's how he is and that's how he sees himself. So it was actually quite an interesting thing. So I'll ask you the same question. If you were to live your life again, would you want it to be different?
You know what's funny? You had to ask me that. Recently, I saw a podcast where two wheelchair people were asked the same thing, and both of them gave different answers. My answer would be, I have to give you a percentage over here. Because from my heart, my courage was built. I saw faith when there was no light. I fought when I thought I'll probably die. I broke bones in my body, which I felt to do things, to accomplish something, because I hoped and I prayed that one day I would walk again. But during that process, the intel I got, the understanding I got about life, about people, about capabilities, and everything in general was so much more powerful than probably me as a single individual just walking alone. So me walking would be my personal happiness. But me without walking and having all this knowledge would be, I think, a way bigger society's happiness. You know what I mean?
I know
but I
exactly.
have made peace with it over the period of time, Tariq, because yes, initially it is horrifying. Oh my God, I can't feel half my body. It is shocking, it is painful. But over a time, I've made peace with it because when I've understood, is that your body is not about you walking, running, the Gucci watches you're wearing, the car you're driving. It is the character, the personality,
100%.
the person that you are.
Yes. The person that you are is bigger than the body that you have.
100%.
150 times
100%,
bigger than
yeah.
absolutely. And I genuinely believe that. And all of the people of determination that I've met, I have exactly that same respect because they, as I said, you're larger than life.
You're larger.
And you could be 10 feet tall as far as I'm concerned. So it doesn't sort of affect me in that way. Moving forward, I do a lot of business transformation work. As a futurist, I help companies to look into the future. And I say to them, change is too slow now. The world is moving too fast. So transformation is the next level, which is better. Reinvention is the third level, which we need to do is to reinvent ourselves, which is effectively what you have done. And the last phase is what you have completely done, and that is metamorphosis. So that the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. You were
The final stage.
The final stage. So you were a caterpillar 10 years ago. You were a fast caterpillar, you were a running caterpillar, and you were jumping up and down caterpillar. But for you to get wings, you needed to go into this pupa, liquidize yourself, and then come out as a beautiful, vibrant, blazing butterfly, which you are now. So interestingly enough, I see you, because now you have wings. Then you were just walking around on little trees and leaves, eating leaves. But now you have wings to fly. So you have gone through this metamorphosis, and this is a beautiful metaphor for business and for life. And I will certainly build on this in the kind of posts and the work that I do to celebrate you and celebrate your courage. Because I talk about the fact that one of the biggest things in leadership today is courage. Lacking.
100%.
And it is lacking massively. You're just trying desperately to save your job or work on this and push that. But sometimes you need to just draw the red line, have the courage to do the things that you want.
I have met so many people where I have spoken. By default, my talks go in terms of aspect of life and where do you see, I wouldn't say where do you see yourself, but the capabilities that an individual holds, And while you talk to a person, you can understand where their confidence level lies in life or where they think they are worth in life. You know what I mean? So I feel a lot of people, there are people I've had conversations with, no matter, Tariq, how much I've tried to motivate them and make them understand that, listen, the source of your power to reach that goal literally does not lie in the people around you. And a lot of people think it does. And by default, they're programmed, no, I need this person's help to get it. But where does that core foundation be built? It's built within. It starts from within. But no matter how much confidence I've given them and I've told them to start dreaming bigger, think bigger, start believing that you are worth that level of greatness. I've always seen some of them come back to the same, like they cannot believe it.
Yeah.
They cannot process that information and make themselves understand and believe. And because those people will never then be able to get to the next step. And that is a fact.
Yeah.
And we have many people across us today. Yeah, they might tell you, I am confident, but there is a level of confidence that they have. If you ask them to start dreaming beyond that, okay, no, that is a little too much.
Yeah. One is about confidence, Sujith, and the other one is about the fear of failure. I failed for the first time when I was about 23 years of age. I failed my accountancy exam. I had never failed at anything. I was great at sports. I was great at work. I was great at studies, everything. And finally, I hit the big wall. That's when I started losing my hair. That's when I also started.
That was a big one.
That was a big one. And I was doing my chartered accountancy exam and I didn't pass the final, and I sort of said I'll try and, But what it did at that point in time, I was in a very low space because I didn't know how to respond. And I know on a scale of 1 to 100, I'm at 1 and you're at 100 in terms of the impact of what happened. But in my life at that point in time, my failure was absolute. Who will marry or go on a date with a failed boarding accountant? It was my view of the world at that point in time, at the age of 24. What am I going to tell my parents? What are my friends going to say? And. So our parents teach us a lot. One of the things they don't teach us is how to fail, because we are so much in this achievement society and pushing society and growth society that we don't know how to fail. We don't know how to hit a roadblock. We don't know how to have an accident, have an unfortunate situation, and then do something about it. So I think we need to build resilience. We need to build that inner strength.
Recently I saw this video where this person was talking, and it's so true. The problem with today's place is that, they talk about security and all so much that even if in a running race, for a children's race, let's talk a very silly example, a children's running race, every child is awarded something, even a consolation prize. So all the child feels that even though they're part of it, even though they came 7th in the race of 10 people, they get an award for it.
Sure.
So everyone is celebrated, and we're like, we should celebrate children. Yes, you should celebrate children, but you should teach them failure as well. Earlier and back in my days, if you're third, my friend, you're out of it,
Exactly.
And we got that hit. But that hit made us, over a period of time, make us stronger in taking failures and rejections. Now, when you're talking about the real life scenarios, in real life, when people face some serious rejections, for some, like you said earlier, right? My problem is 100 and yours might be 1. Even though yours might be 1, but for you, that was 100.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So even when people come and tell me, Sujith, my problem is not as big as yours because you're bad. I'm like, no, even a headache for you at that moment can be the biggest problem that's irritating you from moving one step forward in life. That's a fact, But these rejections, when people take it, they take it so bad that some feel they can never bounce back of it. That is because the foundation of their confidence is not strong enough.
Sure.
The foundation.
100%. So what are you doing these days? What is your day job? What is your day function?
So at 2024, okay, I'll come to that. I have just so much things I want to tell you right now, but I work in a bank. I work in Emirates NBD in the treasury department.
Okay.
So that's my 9 to 5. And then I'm a personal trainer, but I don't personal train clients anymore. I just focus on my own workout because there's just so much going on right now in life. And I have an events company where I'm a partner of. So I'm slowly trying to pick that company and, get business going. So my entire day goes in my 9 to 5, my company which I'm working on, my fitness, my routine, which is like a good 2-hour session, which is super important for me. And so I'm a little into DJing as well.
Okay.
So I'm waiting to be launched this year, hopefully.
There you go.
And I've done the 80% of it. The last 10% is just making a decent playlist that, people would love to hear. So before I launch myself out there. So that is something I'm trying to find the time to work on and get it out there. Now, since I stay alone, I do my entire cooking and cleaning and everything also. It's a lot of time that I have to use in my 24 hours, but I try to make the most of it. Earlier, I would spend my middle of the time for something else as well. But now it's so routinized for me because I need to get things done. And the only way, a big takeaway, what I've learned in life, you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. There are people who say, now when you're going, I'll do it here sometime. Never works. Never works in life. 15 things doing at the same time doesn't work. I used to be back in 2017 when I started picking myself up. I started picking myself up by fitness. What I meant by that earlier before the cameras were on, we had this conversation was, I was at a point, Tariq, where I couldn't move without having 2 people with me. From there, when I decided to go into a gym and I was skin and bones, it was a big risky move. What if something happens to you? I fell down more than 10 times in a gym. I've had my hand being open when dumbbells fall on me. Irrespective of all that, I still went back because that was one place I felt I belonged like equal around. Because a lot of people, to be personal with you, a lot of people started looking down on me. When I would go in the streets, randomly people would come and ask me, what happened to you? In the lift, people would ask me a billion times. So when you're hearing that 15 times a day, it gets to you, it hurts you, it annoys you. And people don't know where to draw the line, to be honest. And I started getting so bad. But the gym was that one place where I felt when I could develop myself physically, I could be in a match with other people who were lifting the same weights. Fast forward 3 months, I was bench pressing 100 kilos for the first time in my life. So gym gave me the confidence to start being a little bit more independent going outside. That gave me the confidence to start speaking my story. That gave me the confidence to start applying for a 9 to 5 job and being in an office. That gave me the confidence to traveling solo. It gave me the confidence to pulling a car in 2018, to doing a Guinness World Record in 2023, to staying by myself today and taking care of my entire self, driving a car Absolute independence. I can wholeheartedly tell you, I'm completely independent today with
Yes.
no, I wouldn't say with no help of anyone. Of course, there are people who help me around here and there, but I'm completely independent.
You ended your sentence with "you are totally independent," which I think is an amazing position for anybody, let alone somebody of determination. Being independent is a good place. Now, in that independence, do you go into schools, offices, places to talk about your story?
I do. And it all started accidentally when I was invited to speak my story for the first time. So the inspiring part for someone who asked me to speak in that platform was because irrespective of all these injuries and this guy going through all these downfalls, still had the courage to go to the gym. Right? A lot of people would have stayed at home being scared of the outcome. But I took a courage because I had nothing more to lose, I felt. And I reached a point where I felt I have to get stronger is the reason which will help me get better in life. So when I spoke for the first time, I saw the impact that it had on people. I saw people actually crying for the first time in my life. This happened in 2017 in Meena Sihai Hotel. About 300 people were there. And then I got invited to speak my first TEDx talk. And every other stage when I spoke about my story and how I changed my adversity into opportunity and how I overcame it, I saw people actually DMing me and messaging me on Facebook and Instagram, literally saying, "Hey Sujith, I literally went to the gym today because of hearing you. I did this in my life. I started eating clean and I want to change my look because I don't like the way I look in the mirror and I'm going to get fit because of you. I'm not going to give up." So when I started receiving these messages, Tariq, I started feeling there is a purpose in my life. I mean, I lived 21 years of my life. I can openly, wholeheartedly tell you in front of your cameras, man, I was just going with the flow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I did not have a goal. I did not care, basically, if I can be very honest to you. But when I started finding purpose, I started seeing, thankfully, I was able to lift myself up. God's grace. I mean, fast forward, I'm 31 today, we're in 2024. I'm loving my life. I'm doing everything I can. I do realize and understand there are people out there right now, currently in India, Pakistan, Dubai, UAE, wherever, whichever country name, other guys in a wheelchair and other girls in a wheelchair who are looking at me and wish that they could also have an independent state how I am, how I can. So I try as much as I can to reach out to all those people and make a difference. But when I speak in schools and companies, it's always to motivate those people to stop your limited mind thinking. And a lot of time we are bound by that. We are bound by our minds. There's nothing else.
We'll be talking about science and technology a little bit and all of the big things that are changing in the world at the moment as we see them. Your accident potentially, and I've seen some of these things happening now, potentially could give you mobility. I don't know what the details of your injuries are, but I've recently been watching some of these things. It could potentially give you mobility and so on.
Neuralink?
Sorry?
Neuralinks?
It's one of them, but that's not the only one. But actually to connect yourself in a certain way. And there are various other components that are being brought together at this point in time. Still early stages, but I think in the next 3, 4, 5 years, a lot of that is going to...
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So have you thought about that? Have you researched that?
Many years I have spent with a lot of different kind of treatments and methods. I've done acupuncture. I've been in centers for many months. I have contacted hospitals in Bombay for stem cells therapy. But always there was always an incomplete chapter to every conversation, an incomplete process. Like nobody was guaranteeing things and all. And since after the Ayurvedic experience I mentioned to you earlier, I wasn't very keen on taking something as an experimental stage. But Neuralinks and like the similar things that you probably were researching on, I think that is definitely going to be the future and the cure for spinal cord injury. I don't doubt it, because since we are on 100 Voice of the Future, I think everything can be healed, repaired in a fraction of a second. I don't
Indeed,
doubt it.
and I think what the situation that you have is not more than between 5 to 10 years
far away
to be in a position to give you a different kind of mobility. And it would be very interesting. You'll have a different kind of mobility, but by that time, that mobility will have to carry a very big person because your shoulders and your life and your thing is so much bigger, and it will be very interesting. There's a beautiful movie I once watched. I can't remember the name right now. It was about going. It was a person who was blind, and he fell in love, and then he wanted his eyesight back. But when he got his eyesight, he wasn't able to see the things he wanted to see and feel the things he wanted to feel. And actually, he faded back into becoming blind, and that is what he wanted to do because that is what he was best at. Because he was always blind and throughout his life, and it was a very touching story, and it really makes me think. You know, so that these things make me feel vulnerable and normal and feel that our day-to-day issues and stuff like that are so minuscule and irrelevant. We need to be looking at some bigger issues in life. We had this little girl just before you, where she spoke about dreams and changing the future. I think all of us need to have that, and then and really live our life to the full today, because God knows what happens tomorrow. And
I think all of us should realize that we all contribute to this big puzzle.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's not their problem. A lot of people think that they are not able to make any changes, and that's, like you said, that's completely wrong. Like, you know, people have to understand the changes that they can make, and it is definitely by adding one plus one of those puzzle, a change is actually made. Irrespective of one person, someone like you, go out, bang on, I'm going to make that change happen. It is going to happen, but it would be much easier if everyone contributed to that purpose as well, right?
I have done a lot of work in philanthropy and supporting people and things like that, and I want to continue doing it. And one of the key things that I've always felt is, how can I make a genuine contribution? How can I make a difference? And we need those role models like yourself. And one of the words that you use really resonated with me, which actually was the reason I attached myself to you and invited you here. And that word was hope. Hope is a strategy. Hope is gives us an energy. Hope has a word, has a lot of inner energy that we can create. What does hope mean to you?
Everything. I'm living because of hope. Yet at one point of my life, man, I was so down. I had nothing to look forward to. I was literally thinking of alternative options. It was that bad. And I got hope by watching one video. When I was in Kerala in 2000, I remember this, 2015 or something, I was already done with about 13 to 14 surgeries. It was bad. I mean, every time 2 months I'm in the hospital, next 2 months I'm in the ICU again, and it was getting, it was just too much. So I'm paralyzed below my chest level. I have a T4, T5 spinal cord injury. That's the reason I cannot function below my chest. And when I had so much of time that I was always on YouTube and just watching some videos, random. I came across this one video of this guy called Dewey Bonzello, and his story hit me like a tsunami, that I thought to myself for the first time in my life, why don't you take a chance and you be done with people telling you what you can do? Because till then, Tariq, I was going to every hospital. Every doctor was telling me physiotherapy is going to sustain his life and give him an independent life. No one's talking about cures. At 21 years of age, I want to hear cure. I want to hear, when is Sujith going to walk again? What does he have to do? Parents were obviously devastated. You cannot blame them, but they were just devastated and they did not know what to do further. But the support and love is what kept me probably going. And I had that phase, everyone leaving my life, being isolated, being lonely, all of that. And Dewey Bonzello's story gave me that fire. Why don't you start actually taking a chance and beating the odds? Because till then, I never believed in myself. I mean, I can tell you I was confident back in college, but if you take the exact words, I never believed in myself. And that voice told me, why don't you believe in yourself for the first time and take a chance which nobody would have taken? A risk, basically. The first risk in my life, I can tell you that probably. If I ever write a book, that would be the first risk in my life. And that risk was nothing but, when I was in Kerala, I wanted to sleep in my room, which was a very simple request, because the only thing I heard for years from 2013 to 15 was, you cannot. Like, you cannot go out by yourself. You cannot do this by yourself. You need your mom to help you to even take a shower over there. All of this was like, you cannot. And I wanted to just sleep in my room, which is on the first floor. And the problem is we have 18 steps to reach that place and there's no lift in the house. And this was told to me by everyone, you cannot do it. You know what I did? The first thing after watching this video, I told myself, why not do this? And I asked my mother. The first day she said, Sujith, not possible. Second day, Sujith, I can't pick you up. You're a fat, big boy.
Yeah.
The third day, I was so adamant and angry. I'm like, you know what? I can't crawl up. I can't walk up. Why not crawl up? My hands are functioning fine. And that's what I did, Tariq. I went to the end of the staircase and from my chair, I put a hand on my chair. I put a hand on the railing of the stair and I sat on the stairs and I started picking myself one by one. It was hell. By the time I reached on the 18th step on top, I was sweating and panting like I have not in years, because in hospital I was not moving. And when I reached on top, I was dead. And when the first thought that hit me, so I was on the floor. From the floor, I came to a bench. We had a bench. From that bench, I moved to my wheelchair and I went to my room. And in the morning, since my mom has a knee pain, I don't want her to walk up all the way. I used to sit and come down. And in the night, I used to go back up. And in the morning, I used to sit and come down. So because she's serving food and everything downstairs. The day I did that, I remember this lady coming to my house the next day and my mom Sujith climbed stairs. And you know what was the first thing she asked me? How did he do it? And it just struck me then. For the first time when I believed in myself and when I told people I want to do it, everyone said you cannot do it. And when I did it, they asked, how did you do it? This is how the system works. But where did it all core start? A core started because of that fire within me that I can do something. From then, it was... Then I never stopped. Then it was for me an attitude like, what next? And then I came to Dubai and I joined the gym and I used to fall if I used to not place my hand on my wheelchair. Like my core was that bad. I fell down in the gym. I've had weights fallen on me. I've fallen backwards, never stopped me. Always went back. And when I started lifting unreal weights, like 100 kilos, people were wondering, what is this guy on? That gave me the confidence. I used to travel from Sharjah, wheeling myself for 700 meters, catching a bus, going to Gises metro station, getting out from Gises to Business Bay, catching another bus just to work out in a gym every single day. My gym session used to take me 5.5 hours. I used to go one way, work out for 2 hours and come back because after my first talk, I got sponsored by UFC gym to work out in their gym and I used to love UFC. Only because of one thing I traveled all this for. You know why? I had a gym in the next building. But that gym, they had the same thing what UFC had except for one thing. That gym had boxing bags. And I couldn't afford every single day to drive. Like I was not driving. I was not making money. I was not working. So I was not going to splurge all that money in taxi. And I couldn't ask my mom to drive me all the way and, wait for me for 2 hours. So I thought, why not? Metro and buses are free for people of determination in the UAE. I can decently wheel. I used to wheel 700 meters through Sahara Center, get to the Dubai side, take a bus, take a metro, another bus, work out, and then reverse. I used to leave at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. I used to be back home by 11 o'clock in the morning every single day until I got a car and I didn't need to do that anymore. So what drove me that far? It was nothing. It was just the UFC boxing bags. If I told someone I'm going to wheel and crawl, they're like, you're mad, dude. Just don't do that. But I did that,
But one of my other companies is called MAD. MAD stands to Make a Difference. And in some ways you're mad like me because I'm also a little bit crazy. And my professor used to tell me that I'm eccentric. Eccentric means off center. Everybody is in the middle, and there are crazy people like you and me and stuff like that. We are on the edges. This is where the change is. The last 1 or 2% of the people. These are the ones who inspire. These are the ones who have courage. These are the ones who make the change and change 100%. The game. And once they change it, then everybody else comes back in.
Have you realized when people say you have to be a little unrealistic in life to get to your goals?
Yes.
Like they would have told you're unrealistic or you're mad or you're crazy, whatever the term may be, right? They would have told me that as well in life, right? Now, why do a person tell another person that's an unrealistic goal?
Yes.
Why?
It's
because majority of the whole world is in such a limited mindset that particular thing is unrealistic. Unless one day in the future, probably, even that one thing will be like so normal that something beyond that will be termed as unrealistic.
So, when somebody used to sort of call me mad, I said, thank you very much. You've just given me a compliment. I mean, being mad is totally a compliment.
You're on the right path.
I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm pushing the boundaries. I know I'm because only when you're pushing the boundaries, you know what your strength is. And you were pushing your boundaries and then pushing them again and pushing them. And
you need obstacles in life.
You do.
100%.
And in life, we will get that. And you created the metaphor in your life that these obstacles are there. But as a speaker, I hope I'll work with you and I'll help to put together some of the concepts that I'm working on and the projects that I'm working on and invite you there as as a paid keynote speaker. Because I'm fed up of bullshit. I'm fed up of excuses. I'm fed up of I can't change, it's too difficult,
Tariq,
it's too complicated.
I completely resonate with you. You know, for me, when I am at home, it is, I'll tell you honestly, in a physical aspect, my lower body does hurt at some time when I sit for 6 to 7 hours. That's why due to I gain something called pressure sores. And I've been through so many surgeries just for this. But on a regular day, when I am working from, and since it's treasury, it's a hell work. You know, the work never finishes. It can go on to 7, 8, 9 o'clock. But let's say for an average day where I'm done by about 5 o'clock, I need to be on my bed for a while because I've sat for like 6 to 8, 12 hours. It's not really good for my bones on the body. And then I have to cook my meals, I prep it all, and then I go to the gym. And then I have some other things, let's say, at 9 o'clock in the night, for example, this has happened many times, that's what I'm saying, I'm dead on my bed. But I know my non-negotiables are there in my day. Certain non-negotiables, which I cannot divert from, because that is what makes me me, gives me that fire, gives me that mentality that I am an animal and I'll get what I want to get. And why am I doing this as a purpose? Because people get comfortable. The minute you achieve something in life, that programmed life is, your life is programmed in a way to make you feel you made it. You never make it. Like if you really strive for greatness, I know for a fact I'm going to die unhappy and unsatisfied because I will never reach my goal. You know what I mean? Because my goals are never going to stop. And it's always going to get, more than goals, my aim to get to life will never come. Because I will be in a constant pursuit to that greatness.
Yeah, I mean, I interviewed somebody yesterday and I asked him what his motivation was, and he said, I am a seeker. I only look for new things, and which is a very interesting comment. I mean, he's a very senior level banker and advisor to large governments and things like that. But it was interesting how he described himself. He said, I seek new things and I seek new innovations and new ideas. Now, let's project you forward for about 10 years or so. What are the plans for the next 10 years? What are the kinds of things you'd like to achieve? And how can we, there are 100 voices in there, there are billionaires in there, there are thought leaders in there, there are scientists in there, there are all sorts of people in here. As you can see,
big book.
It's a huge book, and it's a lot of people. So, as I said, businessmen, billionaires, and whatever. There's nobody in this book that cannot fulfill anything that needs to be done that collectively can be brought together. What would you like to do in the next 10 years?
In my focus with what I want to do is a couple of things. Is one, I'm trying to build, I'll tell you the very near things that I'm actually working on currently, what I'm doing as well. I want to build a foundation for people of determination. You know, I want to build a big community. Now, when we are talking geographically where we are right now in Dubai, a lot of people tell you Dubai government is doing a lot of opportunities for people of determination. There are so much quotas, so much certain things. I agree to it. But what I'm saying is, even though that is all there, I know a huge number of people out here saying we are looking to be, we are seeking for this, better wheelchairs, better mobility, better opportunities, better this. And you have on one side better companies saying that we want to do that. But the bridge is not there really very much, if you ask me. So when you're saying there are people hired here and there, I'm saying there's only 10% of the actual people who need help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my sole purpose, I'll tell you what is my purpose in life. My purpose in life is 100%, I can say without a doubt, is to give hope to people and an inspiration. Because if I can do it, I'm an underdog. You know, I was not born with a silver spoon. I did not make it that way. But when life gave me the biggest adversities, definitely I have crossed beyond people's imagination on where I would be. People never imagined I would be this far. So I need to definitely give it to more people out there. And I try to do that. So now, for example, I've recently worked with this company, Jilani Mobility. And the reason I'm naming them is because, you know, the current wheelchair I'm sitting down on right now, it's 22,000 dirhams.
Okay.
No one would believe it. It's too expensive for someone. That's not fair. That's not good. But these companies manipulate those prices. Now, this certain company is giving this same thing for about 3,000 to 4,000 bucks, which is an active wheelchair. And let me explain to you, not going too detailed into it. A lot of people ask me, a hospital wheelchair is just about less than 500 dirhams. Why don't you use that?
Yeah.
If I use that wheelchair for 2 days, my entire back is going to break. So these are active wheelchairs customized for a person to, you know, just be independent and wheel. So how much have I wheeled with this? I made a Guinness World Record with this, so it's fine. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to link those people up, because I have people telling me, Sujith, even not just wheelchair people, other people, abled people walking out there. How do I get that confidence in you? How do I become like you? Your arms limited, and people are limited by their imagination and their beliefs.
Correct.
So I want to change that. That is my. I don't know how I'll do it in ways I can speak, I can show. That's what I've been doing all these years, throwing through my social media. When I speak, I tell them people, this is what I do every day. This is how I see it. This is how I tell them. I don't tell them you to see the same way, but I tell this is how I see it. And yes, it's hard. Life is hard. It is going to hit you in 100 different ways. And everybody goes through it. There's nobody out there. Even I know how confident I look, right? There are days that breaks me.
Sure.
And I have my 2-3 days of rest, and then I bounce back because I realize my purpose. But I am built that way. Not every might be built that way. So it's my job to give them that hope of.
So I was going to ask you, what is that internal recovery process that you have when you're feeling down? Because there are, and compared to what the story that we are just hearing, they're called snowflakes. I mean, people with mental health problems, getting depressed on small issues and things like that. In the big scheme of things, it's really, really insignificant. Because they don't have the coping capability to be able to find their way back, to bounce their way back. Yeah. What drives you to find? Because I'll tell you mine once, after you tell me yours.
I'll tell you what to do and what not to do. One thing not to do, which I used to do, is don't let it build in you and sink in. Now, I'm not a person, I don't have a go-to person I would talk to. I'm just like that, I'll take it, I'll take it and I'll keep it and I'll keep it in. But all these things, you keep it in, all this sadness and hurt and failures and downfalls, it's just going to explode one day. And you contaminating it, it's like you trying to contaminate this nuclear energy, and it's only getting bigger and bigger, my friend. And how long will you be able to complain? You might be able to contaminate for a while, but it's going to burst, it's going to break you as well. When I go downfall personally, that's when so much is just going through my emotional side of things. I admit it, I'm not human. I try to work like I'm a machine. Like I'm there, I can do this, I can do all this. And this is how I behave and work on a normal basis. But I tell myself, you're human. That there are 3 days, for some reason, many years ago, I kind of made this a framework for my life. And I started following it. When I'm at that peak level of I want to crash, I give 2 days doing nothing. I would take an off from work. I would order pizzas. I would go out for a drink. I would not care about anything, anyone, anybody, and it is okay. I would be in my room, on my bed, nice and comfortable, and watching Netflix, and I let it be. On the 3rd day, after I'm done being sad, I'll bounce back to my purpose. Now, the reason is, a lot of people make decisions when that peak hits them.
Absolutely.
But people don't understand is that you should not be driven by that emotion, that even that happy emotions, the best advice. Happiness, it comes, it will pass away. Sadness, it comes, it will pass away. So even that sadness that you're having for 2 or 3 days, let it be. Don't try to let me fix it somehow. No, let it be. Be human. It will pass away. So for me, even though the first day I'm sad and I ate all the junk and I'm drinking all that coke and I'm going out and partying, whatever said and done, I'll still feel sad when I come back. Second day also I'll feel bad. Third day my mind will be like, "Arey, now what are you sad of?" Because we have automatically fixed and reprogrammed ourselves. So now get moving. And then I always remember the core reasons why I do this. So there is something on my wall in my bedroom. It's written 10 things I fight for. And it's very personal things. 10 personal in the way, I don't say I fight for hope. No. I fight because of this happened to me, and I don't want, and this is why I want to prove. I fight to prove all those people who looked down on me when I wanted them. Like those in details, I've written that 10 things, and when I read those 10 things, now I know why my fire is there. I try to be better. I try to be better as an individual, as a brother, as a son, and as a human being every single day. I'm not perfect, 100%. But I try to be better because I know for a fact there are people who look up to me, and I know if I do something right, they might try it, because I have seen people who I look up to, and there are a couple of 2 people I look up to really very much, and their principles is probably also what made me, adapt that and made me who I am.
Brother, you are inspirational. You give me hope. You make me feel humble. I've thrown away all my bullshit excuses and all the day-to-day nonsense that I deal with. It's all gone. It's all over the place. And I think, to me, hope is one of the critical things. Inspiration is another one. Courage is. And I think your voice, and I will do everything to amplify it. is really important because people need to hear this. And I think we need to find a way to amplify that voice, and we will do this thing together.
Lead by example.
Lead by example, and you are a walking example. And I keep saying the word walking because, I when you're talking to a blind person, you actually, and I hope I'm not sounding wrong, and maybe I'm being inappropriate, but I use language of sight. When I am talking to you, I use language of mobility. I am not, because I'm seeing you as way more than who you are. I'm not seeing you as just a personal determination, because I'm seeing it from my heart.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different thing. And I think a lot of people, and I'm saying that with humility and with heart, that this is sort of where I am. My final question, unless you want to discuss some other bits and pieces. My final question is, we have done lots of things, and we get into a little time capsule, and we take you into the future. And this is your 100th birthday today. And you arrive on your 100th birthday. What have you got around you? Who are you meeting? Who are you seeing? What are you doing? And you're on your 100th birthday because, dude, you're going to be living to 100 and beyond. The reason is that longevity is so much now that, aging will be a choice. And your kids are going to be saying, Dad, Mom, why didn't take the pill?
405th birthday. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're not going to get old like that. You can probably freeze your age. As you're handsome today, we can literally sort of freeze you for the next 30 years. What is your 100th birthday?
I'll tell you honestly, there was a point I wanted to go way earlier when this happened to me. And I'm still not saying, even though that is a thing I would really want, yes, obviously I would go with the way people are going. Probably we would have that age thing with us. But I had a solid thing, and which drives me every single day. And the inspiration who inspired me a lot in life, Kobe Bryant. Mamba mentality. Have you heard of Mamba mentality? No. Greatest thing, changed my entire life. Makes me tough like the rock that people, that's because of people, how do you function like this? Is because of Mamba mentality. That guy changed me. I've never met him in my life. I wanted to. Always was a big dream to meet him and Muhammad Ali. Never happened. When I'm in my 100th birthday, I want random people. I mean, a lot of random faces. When you just told me that, I'm a very visual thinker, so I'm just visualizing some dude with some curly hair holding a basketball, because I used to play basketball in college, and many other people. And they're giving me this happiness smile that because of you, I changed my life. So for me to answer, I really, really want to leave a legacy when I'm gone. A legacy that gives hope to people, and Kobe gave me a hope. His hope was because of his legacy and his work ethics and what he did stuff. And I broke my back many times, literally having that same thing dead. My legs are hurting like anything. I still took my car, drive down to the gym, because at 12 o'clock they asked me to leave from the gym because they had to close down. But I did that one day, that second day, the third day, because I know what greatness is. End of the day, when I looked in the mirror, I cannot say, I want to say I gave my 100% best. So when I am at that age, I want thousands of people to look at me and celebrate me, saying that, man, because of you, we are here. Because of you, it gave us that hope.
And you're going to be able to meet Kobe Bryant and Muhammad Ali by then, because by then, all the holograms will be converted and they will be created into avatars. And by that time, you'll be able to literally pull out people from the past, and you would be able to talk to some of your greatest heroes in the future. So it's absolute pleasure,
Absolute
man.
pleasure.
And it's been so good, and you've been so open and inspirational. I don't know. I mean, normally I'm not lost for words, but right now I actually am.
Thank you so much.
Because you have been you've been absolutely awesome, and I pledge to you and to all of the people who will be watching this is we're going to do some really cool things
100%.
together. Yeah,
I believe that.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we were just talking to Sujith. As I said, I'm lost for words. Which is not often, as you all know. But on Voices of the Future, here is a voice of hope. Here is a voice of strength. Here's a voice of resilience. Here's a voice of so that inner ignition that he has. Here's a voice of bringing about change in the future. And as we spoke earlier, here's a voice that has reinvented himself post a very sad incident. And he's actually gone from a caterpillar to a butterfly because as a caterpillar, he was just running around doing his day-to-day stuff. Today, as a butterfly, as he's done the metamorphosis, is actually flying. And we, as Voices of the Future, will help him to fly and soar more than he ever would have done in his normal environment.